Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. Today was Twins Day, so we worked on the two ceiling wax red buses. So Rafa worked on the 59, I worked on the 61. Let's go ahead and talk about what we did. So as you can see, this one, the 59, has Safari windows now installed. So we had to take these windows apart previously because when the owner acquired them, they had chrome frames. I think I might have mentioned this before. They would have looked terrible on this bus. So we pulled them all apart and then had a painter that we use paint them. It's the same color as the roof on these buses, the sort of top half of these buses. So they're all painted now. So today Rafa went ahead and reassembled them with the glass and put on all the latches and all the hardware, and then went ahead and installed them on the bus. I think there are not too many things cooler than an old school bus with Safari windows, literally and figuratively. I mean, wow, it's so cool. So anyway, yeah, he installed those, and then he did some work on the steering column here. So we started installing the steering column bracket here, and he also went ahead and wired in the turn signal switch, which we hadn't wired in previously. I think that's one of the last major things on this bus as far as the wiring is concerned. Let's see, what else did he do? He installed the inside rear view mirror and the sun visors. So yeah, lots of little things like that today on this bus. I think there may have been some other small things, but those are kind of the main things here. The Safari windows was a pretty big job putting those back together and installing them, making sure they operate smoothly and so on. And then mirror, visors, steering column, wiring on this bus is looking really nice. So yeah, I think that was kind of the main things on the 59 for today. So let's talk about the 61, which is now officially a roller. Look at that. It's sitting on its own wheels and tires. How cool is that? So started off the day by painting the rear drums. We had a lot of issues with the rear drums on this bus. We had the wrong ones twice, I think, and it's just one of those things. Anyway, don't even ask about it. But we have the right drums finally. They are painted, they are on, and which allowed me to put the wheels on. So I put those on first, got the back of the bus on the ground, and then for safety purposes, I went ahead and chalked those up, because the next thing I did was put in the steering column. And so to put the steering column in one of these buses, you got to get the front of the bus really high off the ground. Like, I don't know, it might have been about up here. And we don't like to jack up the bus that much in front if the back is also on jack stands. It just seems pretty sketchy. So the back of the bus on the ground, on its own wheels and tires, chalked both sides. You can see the boards there. So safest way we know how to do it, since we don't have a lift. But yeah, the steering column on a bus, the shaft is attached to the gearbox itself. So however long this thing is, you pretty much need to lift the bus. Not quite that high, because you can kind of come in at somewhat of an angle with it and then kind of do this with it once you get it going up in there, but you still got to lift it pretty high. It's a little sketchy. But got the bus up in the air and got the steering box on and bolted it on, tightened it down, put on the drag link, which is what actually connects the pitman arm on the steering box to the center pivot, and then the center pivot in turn connects to the tie rods on a bus. A little bit more complicated steering than on a Beetle, because on a bus, the steering box sits about right here, way kind of in front of the wheels. So that steering motion has to make its way back here and then off to the wheels and tires. But let me talk about what I did on the steering box before I put it in. Probably should have done that first, but anyway. So the steering box, we had one of our painters paint it gloss black, really nice. But he went ahead and he just painted all the hardware too. So what I did was I actually removed all the hardware. So you can see there's 4 bolts that hold this cap on, and then there's a little plug here that's for adding oil or grease, and then there's this adjustment jam nut and adjustment screw itself, and then there's some little screws and a plate on the bottom that kind of hold the horn wire. So there's a bunch of hardware on this thing. So I went ahead and removed all the hardware. I opened the box up. It had been rebuilt, but it was totally dry on the inside. So I packed it all with bearing grease really well, rotated it back and forth a lot of times, made sure it was operating smoothly. And then I wanted to get it back together today. So I went ahead and used our in-house zinc plating and zinc plated all this hardware right here in the shop, which was cool because it allowed me to get this thing back together the same day, the same morning even, and go ahead and install it on the bus. So again, not something I would do for a huge batch of parts, but something like this where we've got maybe 6 or 8 or 12 pieces that I'm in a hurry for, go ahead and do it in the shop here. They come out really nice. They don't look any worse than if we had sent them off to do them at a an industrial supplier that does that, but went ahead and did it ourselves. And you can see the nut here, also zinc plated. So yeah, went ahead and pulled it all apart, did all the zinc plating, put it back together, and installed it on the bus. So that was actually a pretty big job by the time I did all that. And then installing the wheels and tires doesn't sound like it would be a big job, but, and I always mention this when I talk about putting wheels and tires on these, it's a little bit bigger job than you'd think because we always go and remove, and those of you that watch the channel routinely are probably getting tired of me saying this, but we always remove the paint and powder coating from the lug nut surfaces so that we can safely torque them down and not have them work themselves loose. This bus, I've only got 3 lug nuts on each wheel. Of course, it's not going to be that way forever. These are just lug nuts that I pulled out of our stock to make the bus a roller. I think the owner probably has boxes and boxes of lug nuts, so I'll have him provide some and obviously get 5 per wheel. But for now, at least just to get the bus on the ground and so on, went ahead and grabbed 3 for each wheel from our stock just to, again, get it on the road, or on the ground rather. So those are kind of the main things today. Let me give you guys, anyone who's still watching at this point, a quick update on my wrist. Here's my scar. I've been joking that I'm going to be Frankenstein for Halloween this year because I've already got half my costume here. So I decided today to give it a go without having any kind of brace on here, and it went pretty well. You can see it's still pretty swollen and kind of weird looking, but slowly getting a little range of motion here. I can twist it about that much, flex it about that much. I have full opening and closing in my hand, but if I try and use any force, it feels like I'm getting stabbed in the wrist. But, it's going to be a long road to recovery, but I'm actually glad to not have any type of brace on here. I just have to be conscious that it's not really supported, and if I apply too much force to it, it hurts. But, so far so good. It's going to be a long road to recovery, but at the end of the day, I have a bitchin' scar now, and I'll get over it. So there you go, guys. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon. Bye.